If you are a mid career finance professional, I have a good news and bad news for you. The good news is that if you are a professionally qualified accountant, meaning if you are a CPA, chartered accountant, ACCA, or CMA with 10 to 15 years experience, I think you have all the necessary credentials to become a CFO. Now, unfortunately, 95% of professionals will not reach to the CFO level despite they are fully qualified. And if you are among those 95%, then this is really a bad news. So, what are the secrets of those 5% who reach to the CFO level with similar qualification and experience? Let's take a closer look. Most of mid career finance professionals are professionally qualified and usually very hardworking, spending tremendous amount of time at work and even sacrifice their personal and family life for work. Despite all this hard work, they are somewhat stuck in their career and not really making much progress towards becoming a CFO. Even in my career, at one point of time, I was in a similar situation. Although generally I think I have made quite good progress in my finance career, but at some point of time, I got stuck at the controller level for almost 12 years until I learned this one thing that rescued my career and helped me fast track towards the CFO role. So, before I tell you about this one thing, let me share my early struggle. In the early part of my life, let me admit, I have been a very shy person. Though I was quite good in my studies, with always getting high top grades, but when it comes to conversations, discussions, presentation, speaking, I was dumb as a rock. Even during the early days of my career, I was working quite hard but did not have much social life or interaction with senior people around me. Conversation was my weakness. I started to lose my confidence. But I was still a very good student, so to keep my confidence, I started to read business books so I could show off my knowledge to the people around. And you know what? Surprisingly, it worked. For example, to qualify myself for a major project of implementing activity based costing in six regional plants in Asia Pacific, I read 13 books on activity based costing and I became an ABC guru. Later, I got involved with a balanced scorecard project. Again, I read 10 books on balanced scorecard and strategy, and I became a strategy guru. What I realized that it was not the lack of my language skills or speaking ability. It was lack of the ideas. I did not know much ideas to talk about. And that discovery was really an aha moment for me. With building up my knowledge through reading books, I kept developing my confidence and my ability to talk effectively and frequently sharing ideas through formal presentations. So, simply by talking about business and strategy, I was able to transform my personal brand from a controller to a strategic CFO and later secured several CFO level positions in global multi-billion dollar companies in USA and Middle East. Today I have more than 700 books in my home library and I have transitioned my career to become a successful executive coach and corporate trainer running my own CFO academy. Now I know everybody is not in books, and even if you want to, it's really hard to find time to read lots of books. But my message here is not forcing you to read books. It's about developing your business and strategy knowledge so you can build your personal brand by sharing your ideas. Remember, your one conversation with your CEO and the board of directors demonstrating your strategy knowledge and skills may give you more credentials than an executive MBA degree. My degrees and certificate, for example, only help me to get a good start in the profession. I build up all of my knowledge and expertise all along my career path through informal education that earned me the role of global strategic CFO. Now, I think if I can do it, you can do it. But you don't have to read 700 books for this. In today's technology rich environment, there are easier and more effective ways to build up your business and strategy knowledge. Start talking about business and strategy, not about accounting and finance. People already know that you are a finance expert. When you talk finance and accounting, no big deal. They already expect this from you. But when you show your expertise of business and strategy, they are pleasantly shocked. And that is how you start to transform your image and brand from an accountant to becoming a strategic business leader. It used to say accounting is the language of business. I think no more. Today, strategy is the language of business. It is the language of top executives. So, can you talk strategy? Of course, you can with little effort, and that is going to make all the difference in your career. Hard work is essential, but without a shining personal brand, you would remain stuck somewhere in the middle. Watch the remainder of this video and you will see yourself how easy and interesting it is to learn business strategy. The program I put together as the Strategic CFO Program 2018 is all what you need to reach a CFO level. In just 12 weeks, you will develop a deep knowledge of business and strategy that is more than what you can learn through an average executive MBA program. So, becoming part of 5% or 95%, I think it's really a matter of choice. There is no excuse that you cannot become a CFO. Please watch the remainder of this video. It has the power to change your career and change your life. I did a survey asking people that if the business on a scale of 1 to 10 has changed by 10 in the last 15 years, how much finance has changed? And the answer from the senior finance people, senior finance executives, is always somewhere around between 5 to 7. So we ourselves recognize that finance is not progressing fast enough. The dilemma right now in the business world is businesses expect a lot to contribute it from finance. Strategy is one of the very critical topic which businesses need help from the finance people. So generally speaking, accounting and finance profession has also not been able to restructure its process and structures, because with very powerful ERP systems available in the last 10-15 years, the work environment should significantly change, and it has not. If you look at a typical accounting finance department, we are doing the same way we have been working last 10-15 years. So we have the luxury of really having powerful ERP systems, but we are not using all of them to our advantage. So the purpose of this program, first of all, is to catch up on the education side. So we are talking about strategy, and that's one of the very, very critical part of the grooming and development of the senior finance profession. The other challenge is that despite will and desire and intention of the most finance professionals, we are so much trapped, we are so much locked up in our work environment, in our jobs, that we don't find time. It's the demand of the job, it's the demand of the organization, it's the structure of the organizations, that we are not able to really find out opportunities. Now, I have been doing corporate trainings for 20 years, internally and externally. And I could tell you that more and more we are seeing that for especially finance professionals is becoming more of a challenge to come out of their work environment, even for a day training. If you want to go for just one day training, it's a hell of a lot of challenge how to find that one day. And those people who are able to find out that time, 1 day or 2 day or 3 day, in some cases 5 days training, they were seriously disappointed because the cost of their time is so high that the return they are getting on those training is not really justified. Peter Drucker was an amazing futurist. This is what he said in 1997. Universities won't survive. The future is outside the traditional campus, outside the traditional classroom. The distance learning is coming up fast. I came across this quote about 3 years ago. And as I said, I was doing a lot of corporate trainings. I got shocked and inspired. I said, wow, he projected this in 1997, and we are still doing the traditional way. So I said, let me experiment. And I was not a big fan of online training. But after going through this quote, I started a program called What It Takes to Become a CFO online. And it was fantastic. I mean, I think more than 200 people have passed through that training now. And the results were fantastic because, first of all, we solved the challenge how to find time, because we were doing off time, weekends or evenings, and that's easier. So if you are really willing to learn, you don't mind spending a couple of hours outside your work hours, right? I could tell you many of you have already attended my previous trainings and you know how effective it is. The other thing also from the same amazing gentleman, Peter F. Drucker, who said, business has only two functions, marketing and innovation. And I thought about it. And I said, in today's environment, that's also true for most professionals. We have to really two things, two functions for an individual professionalism point of view. Keep innovating, which means keep learning new things. Number one, you need to do personal marketing because the world is so competitive and there is so much tight supply and demand that if you don't do personal marketing, people would not be able to know about your talent and you will miss the opportunities. And this is an area we significantly lag behind. So I created this framework, which you are seeing on your screen, called CFO Leadership Competency Model. And in this framework, I try to identify the areas which are really critical. Now, you don't see any IFRS here because really, honestly, I think that's not the criteria on which your career success is dependent. Once you reach to a certain level, and most of you are at the mid-level or beyond mid-level, so it's granted, it's given. You have those technical qualifications. Most of you are already qualified professional accountants. That is why you are there where you are, right? But the challenge for us is really to move from the mid-level to the top level. And the top level, IFRS doesn't matter. Your technical knowledge doesn't matter. It's required, it's important, but that's not the deciding factor. What deciding factor is your leadership and what you see here. So I try to combine your innovation part and your marketing part into it. So yes, your productivity, peak performance is very important, but then emotional intelligence, you really need to connect with the outside world, your personal branding, your presentation skills, your relationship, your service orientation. These are in a way marketing aspects of your professionalism. And then on the technical side, as I said, probably you are already know more than enough about traditional accounting and finance things, but you need to develop strategic thinking, business modeling, value creation, performance management, things like that. Every business, every for-profit business is basically designed and built and started to provide return to the shareholder. This is what we call shareholders value or creating shareholders wealth. That's a fundamental truth, right? So ultimately, business has to achieve that purpose. But in today's complex business models, it's not easy. So first of all, profit maximization has transitioned into value maximization, and value is a much broader concept. And you need a lot of stakeholders into it. So it's not that simple just to create shareholders value. That's why we talk about customer value and employees and other stakeholders. What is value in a nutshell? Value is the difference between the benefits enjoyed by a firm's stakeholders and its cost to produce those benefits. Very simple, right? Who are the stakeholders? Not only shareholders and not only customers, but also employees and suppliers, and also society is part of the stakeholders. And what is the strategy in this perspective? A strategy is simply a game plan to create value. Very simple. That how do we take all these components of the business, how do we take these stakeholders, and how do we put them together in a meaningful way to create and maximize our value? That's all about a strategy in a very simple nutshell. It's a value proposition of a business. And value creation is not one way in this case. Value creation is really mutual between all the stakeholders, except shareholders. Shareholders, as I said, the fundamental principle of any business is to create shareholders value, end of the day. But before we reach there is a lot of interaction between different stakeholders, value creation for the business, value creation for them. So this flow explains that. Value creation process is twofold. Generally speaking, most business models are based on creating shareholders value through customer value. Most businesses understand that customer is a very critical part of the value creation process. How do they do it? They create twofold principles. Number one, they create high quality product and services, which creates customer value, right? Makes sense. And then sell those services and products at a price that results in profit, which will create shareholders value. Now look at these two principles very closely and look at some of the most successful business models. That's exactly what they are doing. Companies like Apple, companies like Amazon, companies like Google, creating high quality product and services and making it available at a highly competitive, acceptable price. Now, which one is more challenging? People would look at these two principles and say, first one is really challenging, creating high quality product and services. Really? That's very simple. You put more resources and you can create more compelling product and services. Easy, right? Simple formula. But the main challenge is, more challenging part is how to sell those product and services at a price that creates shareholders value. Because if you don't create shareholders value, the whole purpose of the business model is gone. It's collapsed. So really, selling at a price to result in profit, that's the main challenge. And Apple, company like Apple and Amazon is doing fantastically. Apple is creating amazing, fantastic products and making it available at a price which is affordable. People are happy to pay that. Now, look from a finance professional's point of view. Where we are, as I said, this is the crux of the successful business models: creating high value product and services, creating customer value, and then selling at a price which results in profit. Where we are, finance professionals, we are entirely focused on the second principle. That's what we call financial management. That looking at the revenue, looking at the profit, looking at the cost, and saying this is profitable, this is not profitable. It's very easy for you to go to the marketing department and tell them that these are the products you're selling at loss. Really? We don't understand the full value creation cycle. We are not there. We are even not close to the first principle: high quality product and services, creating customer value. And that goes hand in hand. You cannot manage one or the other in isolation. They really go together. And that's what the business or strategy management is. We need to understand how the high quality product and services are created, how they are positioned, how they are creating a high value, perceived value in the customer's mind, so they could pay a high price or affordable price for that. And then based on this, what a strategic CFO has to do: understand what drives value, right? Measure the value and then minimize the leakage of that value. Very simple, but very broad. And not many CFOs are doing that role. Not many. There are exceptions, but not many are doing that. So if you really understand that paradigm and you say that, okay, I'm willing to go into that value creation part and play my role as a strategic CFO, what you need to do, these are the various steps we'll be covering this program. So build up your strategy, knowledge, and skill first. As I said, our education, traditional and professional education, is not providing us with enough tool, number one. Number two, the things are changing so fast, so rapidly, that we need to keep learning. Even if you have attended a strategy program maybe 5 years ago, probably you need to learn it again because it's changing very fast. And then step by step, initiate a strategy conversation. Very important. You can only do the strategy conversation when you are knowledgeable, right? When you understand things deeply. And then conversation also extend to making presentations, developing your brand, doing some trainings, and then getting involved in the strategic projects and really initiating an idea and own and drive strategic projects. Approach here is that we'll go module by module, covering different strategy models and framework. Now, there are hundreds of books on strategy, if not thousands. And they have diverse approaches, different ways and approaches to learn strategy. I have picked an approach which is easier and faster to learn and apply, especially for the finance professionals. So my design of this program is meant for finance professionals in mind. The models I have chosen to develop your strategy, knowledge, and your brand are easier to understand based on your financial background, like balance scorecard, like value chain analysis, like enterprise performance management. You will pick up very quickly on these things. The number one thing is for this program is to transition you into the role of a strategic CFO. How? By developing a deep and practical knowledge of the subject of strategy. That's very, very clear, number one. Number two, creating a personal brand. So not only that you develop knowledge, but the world needs to know, your business associate, your CEO, your other people need to know that you are a strategy professional. How would you do that? You will actively take part in a strategy conversation. You will getting involved in the strategy projects, and you would drive a strategy project. So that is how we'll achieve the objective of this program. And some, as I said, you will start doing it during the program. Some you will do after the program. So my promise in this program is, this would be the most valuable business learning of your lifetime. This 3 months would be the most valuable business learning. Number two, you will develop a fresh mindset, a new mindset. How do you see your role in solving business problems? So it's not financial, it's not accounting, it's a business professional. How would you really solve business problems? A fresh mindset. And number three, your confidence to actively participate in a strategy conversation at the board level. So as I said,
For your personal branding, it's very important that you demonstrate your knowledge. It's not about your MBA or executive MBA degrees. Nobody cares about that, but your practical knowledge, and that you could only establish by active conversation. So these three are my promises.